All right. Let's make sure everything's working properly. Un momento. Hey, what's up? Welcome from across the pond. You're about to join me in Cape Making Hell. You stick around. Oh, I forgot to reset my camera. Is that better? A little bit farther. There we go. I got 3 more pieces of cape to do. Let me turn off these studio lights here. Do I have these weird little lights on there? There we go. All right. Getting here and finish sanding this cape down, or these last 3 pieces down. And then I can start assembling some of these pieces and working on the seams and such. Hopefully these pieces are going to be pretty easy to deal with. Just a couple little support marks here and there. Little divots. Oh, lost my little sanding pit there. I felt like I was forcing it. Use a little bit of this Tamiya paper or foam. Not too bad, but I don't know if this is the inside or the outside, so I'm just going to treat it like it's going to be highly visible. Get all these little support parts knocked down. Get a replacement foam nib on this grinding pin here. It's way more efficient doing this. I do love this pin. Oh, hey, what's up? Sorry, everybody. Not even looking at the screen over here. What's up, Jeffro? Hey, appreciate it, Eddie. Thank you. And thank you, Jeffro, for the Chuck Norris joke. Always appreciated. So we're here concentrating on this cape business and get rid of all these little support marks here. I'm trying to do a really, really good job on this cape. It's going to be exceedingly difficult, so I'm just going to pour my energy into making it as good as I can make it. Because if you don't approach a problem with a full head of steam, then what are you even doing, you know? I think this thing is going to be way bigger than I'm anticipating it being. I'm anticipating it being pretty big, but I think it's going to be even bigger than that. Can't wait to see when it's all together. This clay face that I'm printing, holy crap. I just finished like the base piece. I had to cut in, well, the bottom part of the base, it already came cut into like 6 pieces, which will tell you something. The upper part of the base, it came with a whole bunch of pieces, but I opted to take the full and split it in half. But even splitting it in half, it filled up the build plate, and oh my god, it is gigantic. And this is just the base part. Like, this isn't even, I haven't even started on any of the actual model yet. So the clay face is going to be huge, which I'm kind of stoked about. I haven't done anything exceedingly large in a minute, so I mean, I guess I just did that Thanos. He was pretty big, but this one is going to be really big. It's going to give me an opportunity to do a lot of airbrushing too, which is going to be nice, like airbrushing, you know, detail work. So I'm looking forward to doing that. This cape is definitely going to be testing my production capability, my production quality. This thing is crazy. It's got lots of little spots where I just had to put supports where it wouldn't have printed. Getting into sanding them down though is a challenge. I mean, the sanding pin does a great job, but only if you can come at it like straight on. Sometimes getting around these little curves is a bit tricky. I know I'm mumbling. Sorry, just thinking out loud while I'm doing this monotonous ass work here. Pretty deep supports here. There we go. Ooh, excuse me. That was a loud sneeze. Apologize. I was trying to get to the mute button, but I couldn't get my hand out fast enough. All right. Almost done. It's got a lot, actually. I'll be working on this one for a minute. I already see. This one was a weird shape. I mean, they're all weird shapes, but this one in particular was difficult to get oriented. And I was trying a new support setting on this one, and it had quite a bit. But I think this one failed the first time I printed it, so that might be why I went a little overboard on the second attempt. Ooh, this one's nasty. It's every one of these little surface ridges. It's got support marks. Making some progress, slowly but surely. There's a little support in there. Ugh. I was glad I saved this one to last. I think I did it subconsciously. This thing is a mess. Excuse me. Switch to some foam. Bestie. there's a one really nasty spot where I got 3 little support marks that I just can't. I don't see a way to get to them. Maybe if I come in from this angle. Oh, I missed those too. Paper at. A little bit of a roll. Be able to get it in there a little easier. Oh, goodness. A lot of shaving down here. And there's some of these spots where I'm just not going to be able to do anything. was a really stupid place to have to put supports. I absolutely cannot get in there. Almost took a tumble. Oh, God, my hands starting to cramp. All right, I have to take a health safety break here in a second. Get this thing finished though. So close. Oh, every time I look closer, I see more spots that I missed. What's up, DL? Right on, Joey. I hope you have one of these a spot to keep all your sanding mess contained, because it can be a mess. I wouldn't even attempt this without this enclosure. I used to. I used to wet sand. Wet sanding was a pain in the ass. Kept the dust low, but it was. Then you got a reservoir of leftover polluted water. Like, what do you do with that, then? You know. Yeah, I like this one. It's got this little capture bag on the other side of this vent thing. It's like a long sock, basically. It's gonna take a couple years to fill up, and yeah, that's why I like this enclosure quite a bit. And I have this idea. I'm gonna 3D model a little enclosure over this hole here with a tiny little tube, and I'll put like a little brush end on it. That part I'll probably buy, but that way I can have like a little miniature vacuum cleaner inside of here, just for like little dust and stuff, and that would be very very cool. So I'm gonna learn to do some more detailed 3D modeling. Um, should be pretty easy to pick back up. I haven't used Blender in a while, but I can get back into it. And yeah, I wanna do a little modification for this cabinet, for this enclosure, and I think it's gonna be super nice. Oh god, that's gonna bother the crap out of me. I can't get down into this little space with anything. None of my tools will reach. And there's some really bad uh, marks in here. Yeah, it should be pretty cool. Um, I thought I've been thinking about it for the last day or so. I had the idea, just kind of coming up with different uh, criteria to keep in mind. Like I don't want to have like a vent that completely covers it because it'll prevent the suction, so it needs a little bit of volume. So it'll be more like a cone shape or something with just like a little bit of space in there. Be a square space is fine. And then I think I'll have the nozzle come out at the top, so then I can anchor it over to the top there. I can put a little clips in the top, so I can just pop the hose off whenever I want to use it, and it'll have a little brush end on it, so I can get it down into stuff. And then over here, the contraption, whenever I'm not using it, I'll put like a sliding door so that it can vent like it does now. I can slide the door over there, and whenever I need to use the hose, I just slide the door closed, creates the vacuum, bada bing, bada boom. I have a nice enclosure vac, for small stuff. I don't want to pick up anything chunky. I don't think it has enough suction anyway, but it's got a pretty good draw, so it might work. I'll just basically use it for sucking up dust more than debris. Like I would never grab it and suck up a big mess. But yeah, I've been thinking about it. I think it's a pretty good idea. And I've got just screwed into place, so I just model some screw holes in it. Yeah, but this space down in here, this really bothers me. There's just absolutely no way to get down in there. I just had an idea. Don't know if this is gonna work. Ouch. I'll take this little piece of foam, kind of roll it a little bit. Actually, let's fold it. I'll use tweezers here. Fold it together. Now, okay, almost a good idea. This is a little too big. And I wish I have a little needle nose, but I think they're going to be too, it's not going to be narrow enough. No, it's not going to be flexible enough. Sort of works. Well, it's not great, but it's better than it was. Oh God, the more I look, the more I see. All right, I think it's as good as it's gonna get. Yep. Yeah, it seems to be working. I just don't want my tweezers to gouge spots where I'm sanding. Then they're in a spot where I can't get to smooth it out. You know. This is right in the curve, right in the bend. A couple of spots right there too. But where'd my cap go? There it is. Whew. All right, it's getting there. Almost done. And I can move on. I know this cape is going to be a chore, no matter what. Oh, right on, Joey. I've been doing this for a couple years. I did my first statue in 2022. It was a little Miles Morales statue. So I'm still pretty new to this too, but um, I feel like I'm getting better. I try to choose statues that give me a little bit of a different challenge each time. And the challenge on this is obviously the cape. This is more of a construction challenge than a paint challenge because I want to get this cape as nice looking as I can. And if I can do this one really well, as far as hiding the seams and everything, if I can do this one really well, then any future cape will be way less challenging than this. So at least that's the idea. It's the equivalent of learning to drive with a stick versus an automatic. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. They still make manual transmissions, or have we just evolved past that as a society? Which would be a shame because a manual transmission is a lot of fun. Then again, I'm a child of the 80s, so I'm a little predisposed to analog and manual things. $16K, that's cool. Yeah, that's a good approach, Joey, because that was kind of my approach too. You just learn different things as you go, and the more you get exposed to, the more you'll realize how much more you need to know. The irony of it all. I just have a little 8K M3 Premium. Can't imagine what 16K is like. The detail I got on this Doctor Doom print is insane. All the little filigree things in his armor. So yeah, what'd you say, 16? Gotta be nuts. Let's see, I feel like I'm gouging it. All right, that's good. Nobody's looking at this thing as closely as I'm looking at this thing. I'm getting a little too lost in the weeds here. Yeah, nobody's looking down in there. If you did, all you're going to see is shadow. You're not going to see any bumps. What is that? Let's sand that down. That looks like a mistake. Another spot. There it is. All right. Sorry, I know this isn't exactly riveting YouTube. This is the doldrums of the model making process. There are things happening. It's just really slow and unimportant. I mean, it's important. Unimpressive, I should say. Oh, wait. All right. Oh, God, I can get that too. All right, hold on one second. Still almost done. Really have no idea when I'm going to be done. It'll be done when it gets done. Which metal paint did you use for the rogue statue with a tentacle? I used Vallejo Chrome, probably. The Vallejo Chrome is metal color chrome, is my go-to chrome. Um, so yeah, that's probably what I used. Yeah, there it is. Oh yeah, Brent. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, doing this part is an important part of the job. I mean, it's not like because it's like no matter how good your paint is, like you could be an amazing painter, but if you got a fucked up model, it doesn't matter how good your paint is. You know, if you got little imperfections. That's all the people are going to see. And I would say even more so once it's painted, because it starts catching the light and reflecting everything. So, I mean, this is a step that you really have to pay attention to and take your time with, and it sucks, and especially on something like this where you can't get to everything, but it needs to be as smooth, as visually smooth as you can make it. So, yeah, this is especially for beginners. That's why I'm on the fence about cutting out the parts like this, because in my videos I always showed some of the pre-production, because I think it's important for beginners to know that like you're not just going to pull your prints off the printer and it's going to be 100% good to go. You know, it's like you gotta take the time to do this part or it's going to suck. Oh, hey, thanks, Joey. I appreciate being in the same category as Ground Affected. I wouldn't put myself there, but thank you. I just always feel like I could be better. Like every time I do one, no matter how good it gets, or no matter how good it is, I always feel like I could do better. I think that's just part of being an artist. But thank you. I have a hard time taking compliments. So yeah. Anyway, like I said, I'm on the fence about like cutting out this part of the production, but at the same time, I want beginners out there to see that like this is part of the job. And the better you do this part, the better everything else is afterwards. Now that is within reason because some things are just impossible, like getting down in there. However, my efforts with the tweezers were fruitful. I can see some improvement. So it's still not perfect, but the ROI on spending more time on this is dwindling. So we're gonna move on to other things. I suppose too I could always flood it with some resin and then cure it, and that will fill in all those little holes and pockmarks and stuff, and it's deep enough you wouldn't notice where the resin started and stopped. But sometimes I'll do a thin coat like that. I've got some ribboning happening here where some layers looks like they started to delaminate but didn't quite get enough pull. So it's just made a weird like wavy pattern in it. Try to get rid of that. It depends on how deep it goes. Not that deep. Alright, that's good. I mean, this is day number 2 for me, and I'm not like a full time. I'm not doing this full time. So I mean, I'm gonna have even after this, I've still got assembly, and I've got to seal all these gaps and sand all that. And that's gonna take a minute, partly for dry time, but also just in general. Oh God, every time I look, I see more and more I missed. I need to quit looking. Just kidding. I'm gonna get better at it. Not trying to shirk my responsibilities to this model. I have some pointed little sander tips, but I found that if it's too aggressively pointed, you do more damage than you do, fixing. So I don't typically like to go in with something so hard, especially on something like this. I do have some little angled sanding tips though. There's just so much little curves and spaces in this thing. I feel like I would do more harm than good. It's really more like the attention to detail of it all, because I just used a lot of supports on this particular piece, the way I had to orient it in order to make it print. And so it just left some pretty gnarly marks. This is beyond the normal, I guess is what I'm saying. This is this is not a typical sanding experience that I normally have to go through. But I don't do a whole lot of capes, so this one is particularly ornate. So I would say this is probably an exception. I will probably never do another statue like this, or at least I will say not for a while, because I'm sure it's going to look super awesome when it's done. But I'm also probably going to have some nightmares about sanding, about cape sanding. And this Tamiya sanding foam is really good, but man, it breaks down so fast. And you can feel it when it breaks down, because it goes from being a little bit stiff to just being totally pliable. Like a, yeah, so it's like I'm not doing any good with that anymore. One of these little baby ones I don't want to cut anymore. It's also expensive. Like, it is not cheap. For the little square that you get, like $15 or something. It sucks. It is really good for this though. How they get you. Oh, there's one little nib right there. What do I have? Some fresh paper. Yeah, I've seen some people do this statue and they just abandoned the cape altogether and just did like a cloth, like a fabric cape. I fucking get that now. I wouldn't want to do a fabric cape though. It'd be impossible to keep clean. I get enough dust in my studio and my office. There's a large hole right there. Nope. Oh, wait, nope, still there. Geez, that's a deep one. Crazy. I feel like that one definitely could just be filled in with resin. There's a pothole. my goodness. Alright. I'm gonna be a little son of a bitch, huh? You wanna go hard? Let's go hard. I'm talking smack to this porthole. You go take that, you son of a bitch. A couple more right there. Alright. I'm gonna need some more foam. All these pieces are spent. Alright, where was I? Get these in here. Alright. Now I'm done. I think I gotta be, right? What the hell did I do to myself? Subjecting myself to this nonsense. About to break a sweat. All right, that's good. Done. Tired looking at it. Done. Done. You get to rejoin the other pieces currently on the bench. Oops, keep bumping the camera. All right. Look at this cape. Look at this monster. This is 50. This is all cape from here over. This is the other parts. Crazy. So now comes the fun part. Trying to figure out how to assemble this cape. So yeah, this is crazy, isn't it? This thing is literally, this is 50% cape. So I'm gonna get all of his little parts out of the way for a minute while I work on some other stuff. We're gonna get this cape out of the way first. I gotta work on it while I got some juice. Alright. I suppose I can get this base out of the way too. There's no sense in looking at that. I'm gonna have to do some putty work, but at least I got the rocks to attach. I had a little bit of a print failure back here. So I'm just gonna putty over all this and put in some rocks of my own making. But then I think the rest of this should line up pretty good. So, to the cape. I'm going to need plastic wood. Do I need to epoxy this? It's gonna have a lot of weight. Yeah, we're gonna epoxy it. I'm not fucking around with it. So I got my little 2-part epoxy. That's gonna happen. Did I hollow the base? Yeah, the base is hollow. So I do the base hollowing at 2 millimeters, and then I do the character models at 1.8 millimeter thickness. So the bases are a little bit thicker than the character. This, however, because of the complicated nature, this is all solid. So these are all solid pieces. This is going to weigh a ton. So I may have to counterweight the base. I may have to put some weight in the base to hold this thing upright, which will be fun. So for that, I'll probably mix up... I've heard people do it with different things. You can do it with like gravel. I mean, like literal gravel, BBs, like little things of BBs you can put up in there. If you don't mind making a little rattling noise when you pick it up. Some people fill it with foam, like that foam insulation stuff, but I don't think that's going to be heavy enough in this particular instance. Basically, anything with weight you can, or anything you can pour in that's going to have some significant weight to it, you can use. So I may end up doing that in this project. I'm just going to see how much this cape weighs when I'm done. All right. So I'm going to need a paper towel to wipe off some excess stuff. I need a little cup so that I can mix up plastic wood. I need a lid so that I can mix up epoxy. What else do I need? A stick, a little dowel stick. I like these little dowels because they've got like a little sanding nub. Actually, where's that one spot that I was struggling with? Which one was it? Was it this one? No, it was this one. The the only problem with this thing is it's like a roofing shingle. Like it is gonna leave a gouge. So I'm trying to, a little nub that I couldn't get to before. I think I can knock it down with that. I would rather have scratches than have little nubbins. So, anyway, I'll use that to apply the, or to mix up the epoxy. And brush doesn't want to get down in there. All right, there we go. That'll work. Oh, that's better. All right, not too worried about that shit. I'm done looking at that. All right, I've got adhesive. I've got filler. What else do I need? A Q-tip or two, probably. Go ahead and grab some of those out of there. Anything else I need? I'll be putting some resin on there later, but we'll do that afterwards. You know what? Second thought. Let's go ahead and get our resin stuff out. I hope this light has a charge. I'm going to give this light a little juice here. Alright, so let that charge for a minute. I've got some resin in a bottle. Bottle of resin here. My UV goggles. Gotta have those. And I'll just let that torch charge up while I'm doing other stuff, because that's going to be the very, very last step. All right. I'm going to take a quick health and safety break. Get some water. Hit the head, and then I'll be right back.
All right. And I'm back in the saddle. All right, so the first part of this, just figure out which pieces go together. I don't even know where to start. This part wraps around his leg. I know that. Like on this side. Okay, so this part goes on there like that. So far, so good. This looks like it goes here, judging by the pattern and the texture. All right, so that one's that. Oh, this is fucking gonna be fun. All right, how'd that go? Oh, yeah. I mean, on the plus side, these seams are pretty freaking flush. Like, usually I get more pull, but I made a specific case to orient these pieces so that the seams would be as flat and as flush as possible. So that makes me feel good that that kind of worked out. That's the middle. I gotta have to. Here we go. This is what I'm gonna do. Move these pieces over here. No, move these pieces up here. Then this will be my little assembly area. Here. Fuck. Here he goes. All right. So there's this, and this piece comes all the way out to here. So there should be one kind of squarish looking piece goes in here. All right, so far so good. That's a crazy ass split right there. Holy crap. All right. There's that. Okay, so you know my plan about doing this in sections and sealing the seam as I go. That might this may not be a very super viable plan. Because of the way this thing is gonna come together. This looks like that. Yeah, see, so there's the pieces are interlocking much tighter than what I had anticipated. So like, wait, how did this go? Okay, so this was like this was like that. So this edge, well, that's not right. All right, you two, I got it figured out. You're fine. You're over there. You, I haven't figured out yet. You haven't figured out yet. All right. I got this and this, and then this right here. Okay, so with that right there, this no, that's not right. It's not right at all. Okay, let's get you out of the way here. Is it this one? No, you don't have an opening. Is it this one? This is the one. How does it go? Nope, other way, this way. Yep, okay, so where's the hole? This one goes like that. Oh, okay, I see what's happening now. All right, so this one goes on there like that. This one is present in the count 4. And this one. This should have a live seam here. Okay, so that goes on that. Okay. But see, if I do this, I'm not going to be able to get in there to hide that seam. Well, I guess I can hide it from there. All right, so I think, and then hold on. Okay, so there's definitely going to be a spot in there I'm going to need to try to hide. Okay, so there's this. This has to go. That's not it. Okay, so that goes like that. What the heck's going on up here? So that bad boy's got to go. Jeez. All right, so that goes on there like that. That goes. Oh, that's a nasty little triangle right there in the middle. See where those three pieces come together? That's gross. I don't know how that. Oh, I should be able to fill that. It's pretty accessible. Okay, so I think I'm going to join these two together. I'm going to join these two together. Get those seams nice and covered, because to get down on the inside there. Then I can attach that. And then I can attach those. That seems like the approach. Okay, this one I think I will actually super glue. I think just the internal seams, like this seam, it's actually going to be supporting some weight. I think those are the ones I'll use epoxy. See some light coming through there, but it is what it is. Okay, does this have a little notch? Is that why they're sticking up? Because so it aligns on that side. Yeah, there's a little notch right there. You know what? Now this approach is not, well, I guess it'll work. I'll just have to make sure to guide it as I go. All right. Nothing left to do but to do it. Gotta score these edges. Alright, let's got a little more grab. I'm trying to avoid mixing up a tiny little batch of epoxy each time, but I need to be able to hold stuff into position and then check the fit. See, like that, I would have made a huge gap. Whether I'm either fixing a gap at the bottom or I'm fixing the gap in the middle. I can sand that easier than I can get in here. Alright. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Just going to go with the glue on this part. Try to line that up. Split the difference. Always grind that down here on the end because I can get to it pretty easily. But the stuff in the middle here will be a little harder to deal with. Should be on there pretty good. All right, it's about 30 seconds. Kind of nice having a little video countdown clock. All right. There's one piece connected. Oh yeah, now I want to connect these two pieces in a very similar fashion. It depends. So like this plastic wood is really good for filling a gap, but when you wipe away the excess, it leaves a little bit of a ridge. So then I like to go in and fill over top of that with resin and then sand it all down. And that's the best approach to doing it. Sometimes, like if it's a rocky surface, like on the base that I put away, I'm pointing up because I put it on the shelf above my head. I will only use this plastic wood and I will not dilute it as much. I'll leave it in its very paste-like form, and this stuff blends in really good with like rocks and like bumpy textures. You can just shape this stuff in and it's perfect. You don't need to do resin over it usually. It really just depends on the surface that you're filling, I guess, to answer your question. Like you'll see me use this here in a second, and you'll see why it's so good, or why I choose to use it. It's especially for filling gaps down in really low spots like this. I'll demonstrate why it's my go-to method. And also, I always do the plastic wood first to fill the gap, because if you just put liquid resin down into a gap, no matter how small it looks to you, it's gigantic for fluid. So that resin will just run down and it'll just keep running, and if you don't cure it, if you can't get in there to cure it, you're making a little resin pocket that's going to come back to haunt you later. Like it'll make your paint not stick properly. Like it'll do all kinds of weird stuff. So the plastic wood as the first fill layer, that prevents the resin layer from running all over the place. So it stays in the gap where you want it to be. And you don't end up with a weird resin pocket later. Shit, how does this go? Like this? No. Oh no, I lost the orientation. Like this. Yes. Okay, so that kind of overlaps. Right there. Yeah. That plastic wood, Home Depot or any like home improvement place that's in the paint section. It's super cheap too. I think it's like $2 or $3 for a big ass bottle. And I've had this bottle for like over a year. Like it's one of the best ways to start with filling gaps. It's very easy to work with and multiple use kind of deals depending upon the texture or the viscosity. It doesn't shrink also, which is really great, because when you put it down in the cracks and stuff, you don't want it to contract when it dries. So pretty much, yeah, you put it in, you wipe it off, you're good to go. This looks like it's got some grab already. Yeah, after it's ready, and that's another thing too. This stuff dries in about 20 minutes. Like it dries super fast, so you can just kind of keep going. And then the resin, of course, is instantaneous. So yeah, you just once you get it in there and it dries, and you put your resin over top of it, cure that, then you sand it all down. and you're good to go. That's usually enough to get the gaps filled. And again, every instance is a little bit different, so you kind of have to go with what go with your gut once you get the amount of options in your brain for filling gaps. Because I'll also use putty sometimes. Putty is like, you'll see I'll use a putty repair on that base. What am I doing? Got me thinking about this. I need glue. um, yeah, so you'll see me do some putty repair, and that I will I'll sculpt in some texture and stuff, and then I'll use a little bit of resin if I need to kind of hide it if it's doesn't blend in well enough, but usually I can get it to kind of blend in. I like this glue. It's usually sets up pretty quick. It'll do motionless for about 20 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that. Of course, if you just keep fucking with it like I'm doing, you mess it all up. The key is to hold it still. All right, make sure got this alignment here. Oh, holding it upside down. Oh yeah, this is the triangle. Alright, I gotta quit moving. Yeah, that's gonna be a nasty spot to try to fill. Ugh, can't hold it still to save my life here. Try turning it over. All right, come on. This is going to be a lot of work no matter how I cut it. No matter what I do, this is just going to be a pain in the arse. Did I do it again? No. Nope, I'm losing my grip here. All right, we're just gonna hope for the best. Sometimes you just gotta wing and a prayer it here. Yes, this is the Wicked Doctor Doom, the Wicked 3D Doctor Doom. They actually have 3 versions. They have an older one that I found on their Gumroad store, where he's kind of like up in the air and his cape's above his head, and he's like the hands of the Fantastic Four are kind of buried in rubble underneath him. And then they have this version, which is, was one of the first on the Patreon, I think. and then the latest version, which is the one where he's on a horse. He's on horseback with a sword. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, me too. This is going to be a good addition to my collection. Yeah. Gonna be a mess. Gonna be fun. Some nasty gaps to fill. Yeah, it would be a whole lot of work and it wouldn't be profitable. That's to answer your question. That's why I don't do it. I might take a custom order here and there, or do I might do a commission here and there, but for the most part, I'm doing this for the joy of doing it, and I want to make videos to help out beginners, because like I remember when I was just starting out, how many questions I had. You're just like not a, because you never got to see the full technique unless you're paying for a Patreon or a Twitch or Discord. Unless you're paying for one of those premium services, I was never able to find where somebody could just like answer my questions and how to do like basic shit, So that's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay, so that's a three-way section with the main cape. So I'm going to attach those separate, and then I'll add that on. Looks like, no, it's got a little bend in it. All right, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, and like if I was sorry, I'm back. If I was sitting around doing this all day, like if this was my day job, that would be a different story. But this is right now. It's just a hobby. I would love to be able to, if I could get enough YouTube subscribers and views and stuff that YouTube was paying my bills, I would 100% do this all the time. I love it. Like seriously, this is all I think about all the time. I will continue to do this hobby for as long as my eyes and hands will allow me to do it. And so, yeah, if I can make a living doing it, that would be swell. I have thought about like taking orders, like taking pre-orders or whatever, and making like mass-produced versions of these, like, or not mass, but doing like 5 or 6 copies at a time, and then keeping one for myself, obviously, and then selling the others. I have considered doing that. But I feel like it comes with a whole different level of stress, because now it's like if I do something now, it's for me. I'm the only one that's got to see it. I'm the only one judging it. I think that if somebody's buying stuff and they're buying it, for me, it's not going to be like Sideshow Studios or one of the big statue makers. You know what I mean? But it's going to be more expensive for me to make one-off statues, and then you got to worry about shipping and all the other junk, and it's just, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, in my opinion. But like I said, if I can get YouTube sending me checks, that would be dope. I think shave these keys down just a smidge. I don't think they're bottoming out, but go ahead and blunt them just in case. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And they got a crew of people. Like they've got like the interns doing the base coats and like simple stuff, and then they'll have their senior guys come in and do all the detail work. So it's like they break it all up. If I knew more people that made statues, close by, or were interested in doing that, I mean, I can't say that I would start a business on it, but I would certainly consider it. At least finding a way to like co-op statue creation or something. So it could be a viable thing. But then like I said, then it just comes down to quantity and production time and materials. Like it costs me upwards of $50 to make a statue, just all the resin. I pay about between $21 and $24 a bottle, depending. Oh wait, I don't want to go that far. Between $21 and $24 a bottle, depending upon where I'm getting it or how much I'm getting at a clip. Like the last, and now with the tariffs and everything else, like tax, all that money, all the production material costs would go up. So yeah, I don't see statue production in my future. I also feel like that would suck all the joy out of it, Whereas making the video content is a nice little addition to the statue making the statue making process. I actually enjoy making the videos. That's part of what I do for a living. I work for an ad agency, and I've always just like done random things, and so but making videos is always one of those things. So I enjoy that part of it. I don't go crazy with it. I put in just enough effort that it's pleasing. It's very much on my on my terms. And I think that's the main thing, is like, I don't ever want this to be a job where I'm like forced to do it. That's no fun. It's $35 a bottle. Oh well, that's 2 kilograms, right? Or like, because like I use 1,000, the 1,000 gram bottle, and it's about 21. So actually, you're getting a better deal. I like the Anycubic plant-based resin. Hey, if it's cheap and it works, then it's cheap and it works. There's no awards for how much money you spend on making a statue. As long as it's a good quality, that's the main thing. I think he mixes his. I think he does a Sunlu and something else mix to change like the how rigid it is or whatever. That's crazy to me. I just use the Anycubic plant-based resin. Felt it move. Did I not put enough on there? Yeah, it needs a little bit more. Sorry. I'm going to be filling all this in, so I don't care if it's squishing out a little bit. Yeah, the cape kind of shoots out to the side and kind of wraps around his leg. It's a monster. Yeah, it kind of shoots off to the side. And I usually do this bit of assembly off camera because it's really just me holding pieces in place, for a few seconds at a time. Oh yeah, Spawn has that has a crazy cape. Like I said, to be honest, I almost didn't do this Doctor Doom statue because of this cape. Like it was a consideration, but I figured I need to stop avoiding my fears and step into it. So that's what I'm doing. At least it's not like a super ornate like texture. Like if this wasn't completely smooth, I wouldn't have dealt with it. Like I wanted there's a Doctor Strange statue that I want to do, but the inside of his cape is on full display, and each one of his little squares, like each one of the little squares in his little cape, have to be painted, and it's like that's preventing me from wanting to do that statue because I can't do it properly. It's like if you can't do it properly, I don't even want to do it. I lost count. I hope that's long enough. And then this goes on like so. Today is a good motorcycle day. I just heard somebody ride by on a little street bike. It makes me miss mine. But I'm also enjoying myself in here, so it's a win. My thumb showing through here. Oh wait, I gotta. It'd probably be easier to put the glue on this piece anyway. Right, off camera. Turtling. All right. Making this thing come together. A little bit on that side, just for good measure. I usually don't like putting too much glue because it makes a mess, but I'm going to be doing a lot of sanding on this, so it don't matter. Oh, ha! Oh no. Ugh, my gloves are covered in glue. I need to change. my rubber glove came off in my came off and glued onto the model. I'm gonna have to sand that off. That's funny. This is gonna be a lot of work, so it's gonna be a lot of work no matter which way I cut it. All right, be right back. Okay, where was I? Fresh glove. So for this, well, actually, before I attach this, I'm gonna go ahead and get these seams covered. And same thing with these. Yeah, so gonna get some plastic wood mixed up. Bit of water. And basically just want to make like a paste, kind of yogurty, kind of. You want it to run but not drip. That makes sense. Yeah, it's way too much water. I need more. Takes me a second to get this mixture right some days. There we go. Now we're talking. Like Elmer's glue. If you know what Elmer's glue consistency is, like where you get some nice big drops, you know, before it kind of falls. That's about where you want it. And so I'll start off here where you can kind of see it. And so basically, I want to take and spread some of that into the seam. It's got a little bit of a gap there actually, so kind of put that on there very liberally. And then take a towel or a cloth or basically anything you can use to kind of get in there and just kind of wipe off the excess. This. And then that is just going to make sure that your that your seam is completely closed. A little bit of water. So then whenever I do the resin application, the resin won't just run right through the crack. Like I said, depending upon the situation, you know, of like what texture you're going for or what texture you're working over. It's like rocks or something that, you know, a little rougher. Sometimes this is the only stuff that you need. It does tend to make a mess though, which I often forget about. There you go, this got a little bit of water on it, so it should help. And that's it. Just keep filling in those seams, washing off the extra. I want to leave it chunky. It does sand really easily, so it's very crumbly. But down in the crevice, it doesn't really matter, which is why it's really perfect for this application. Yeah, for textured fabric, so there's a couple ways you can do it, and again, it just really depends. If it was textured and this complicated, it would be difficult. But you can use like a mixture of this technique and like a needle application of resin. Like you can get in there and really fine tune it, you know, and get it in there around a pattern sometimes. But ultimately, yeah, if you go to try to seal something with a pattern, you can't sand it, then you're gonna ruin the pattern. So it really just depends. Yeah, now you can like use a hot glue gun to make a little clone stamp of a pattern. I did that on my Mr. Freeze, where I repaired his leg, and his leg had like a pattern in it, and so I used a hot glue gun to replicate the pattern with, but that's if you're using putty. So like to do something like this, the clone pattern thing wouldn't necessarily work because it's too small and not viscous enough. Oh, thanks. Appreciate that. So like this is a really bad gap right here. I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of work to get that filled correctly. I'm going to use a little bit of resin. I mean, right now I'm using this. The issue though is like the valley. You don't want to fill the valley where the fold is. So this is like a trust the process thing too, because this first pass looks like shit. Like there's just no way around it. It just looks like poo. But you have to know that with each pass, each technique, it gets a little bit. It comes into focus a little more and more, and it comes in waves. So it's like you start with this, sanding and all the rough stuff, and then you get into filling the seam, which requires a little more precision, a little more grace, say, and then you start again with the primer, and then the primer is bulk paint. The base coats, you start blocking in color. Everything's very blocky and looks crap. And then as you paint more and more, you get more and more detail, and just have to trust the process. I mean, like I said, it depends. Like if it's a rocky texture, I usually don't have to worry about resin over the plastic wood. In this particular instance, though, I want the cape to be as smooth as I can, so I'll definitely be using resin to do a final smoothing on it. But it's a situational type thing. Because remember, everywhere that you put this stuff, you got to be able to get in there and sand it. And so if it's not in an area where it's sandable, that can cause some problems. But also, it's like in this particular instance, it's very well hidden. Like if I didn't fix this seam perfectly, I'm gonna let this one slide because it's deep in the recess of his cape. So unless you're looking for it, you're not gonna see it. I probably won't resin in here, just because trying to sand in here is gonna be a pain. This seam doesn't have to be fully invisible. You're not really gonna see it. The external stuff, the stuff on the outside of the cape, obviously, I want to be completely seamless. Go through a lot of cotton swabs on this part right here. I absolutely can't get in there with anything else. Well, I guess I could take a little paper towel and some tweezers. I'm just wetting the Q-tip a little bit to help wash this plastic wood out the spots where I don't want it to be. for this area. I'm going to wait and seal once I attach it to the cape, to this edge. Yeah, that's a nasty, this little area right here. I've got a big gap to jump. Pile that on a little bit right there. That's easy enough to get access to. So. We're adding material so we can take it away. Anywhere it's got a little bit extra lift or separation, I'm just putting in a little extra. Of course, the resin's going to fill in some of that too. The resin will run. This will hold the space. And that's really what I'm wanting here. Just holding space. Yeah, it looks a little rough right there, but it's okay. I got a bit of sand in there to do. Same thing down here. See, so these spots I'm leaving purposely chunky because there's a separation in where the seam comes together, so I need to fill the void. When I sand it down, it'll be nice and smooth. The rest of that is looking pretty good. So let's move on to here. Oh, I use so many little cotton swabs during this process. I hate it. I wouldn't call myself a good steward of the environment because I'm making a whole lot of garbage. I use for this. I'll just use a torch, like a little hand torch, you know, a little flashlight, a little UV flashlight. That's what I use when I do the resin step on this process. If it's something I like needs a whole lot of resin, like if I was gonna completely coat this like a brush coat to smooth everything over, then that I would put in the cure box. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is just adding the material to fill the spaces and to even out any discrepancies in the seam where it's like very, very minor. Like there's like a teeny tiny little overlap right here. And so this will start to compensate for that. Like I said, mainly the main goal of this is to not fill the seam completely, but fill the gap so that there's no void when you go to do the resin. That's the main push here. It doesn't have to look right, doesn't have to look even. Stay with me. But you don't want to leave a whole lot of excess in here because it's just more to sand. It's more to sand later. Like this seam right here, this is ideal, where it's like you get a thin, very thin white fill without anything else. And then so whenever I fill that with resin, then it'll be flush up to the edges. Like you can see, even wiping it away, like you can see that there's just a little bit of a lip between the whites. So it's like it's filling the gap, it's filling the void, but it's not completely flush. And the resin is what will make it completely flush. So this you really just want to fill the space without too much overage. Oops. Can't go double dipping on these Q-tips. They get loaded up with junk pretty quick. Once they're loaded up with junk, you can't use them. Then you're just spreading junk. And that's no bueno. Can I use both sides of that guy? I can maybe use him a little bit more. See? Spreading junk. right. Pretty good. Oh, that was all one piece. This bad boy. Oh, I'm slopping this on. Why am I slopping this on? Sometimes a sponge can work for this too. Basically anything wet that will pick up this stuff. Plastic wood. It's okay. Okay, that'll just have to be sanded out. All right. It's coming along. Oh, did I get the backside? I did not. A hole there. right. Now, do I want to go ahead and attach this last bit? Oh, I got a sand right there. Missed some supports, that whole section. Dang it. Oh well. Not big of a deal. And then so these I can all kind of get to pretty easily. Yeah, let's go ahead and attach this. Then those other two pieces over there, those will need some. I'll finish those off first. Get the seams all filled because I'm going to need to be able to get in between those little crevices a little easier, and I can do it from here. So this one's not too bad though. Everything's pretty open. Whew. This thing is gigantic. Not even close to done with it either. Okay, there it is. My microphone died. Apologies. Although you didn't miss much. Just, you know, gluing shit together. Alright. Got my UV torch all charged up. Get rid of some of these little scraps here. Try to clean as I go. Alright, so next up I will be get some resin on there and start sanding. Sorry, I'm over here muted and talking to you. So yeah, so the basic idea is that once you get your parts assembled, either glue or epoxy, depending upon how heavy they are. I thought these would be heavier, so I got the epoxy out, but the super glue is fine. Yeah, after you get them glued together, this plastic wood mixed with a little bit of water, that'll fill the voids in the gap in between the pieces. And once it dries, then the next step is to use a little bit of resin to actually make the gap flush. You want to close it off first, because if you don't, the resin will leak down in between. It'll just drip right through essentially, and then it's no good. I mean, you can't really cure it. You also have the potential of making a resin pocket in the seam, and that will start to weep later in the process. And then you get a weeping seam. It'll make the paint not be good in that spot. So yeah, so this step here, it looks like poop, I know, but it's basically, like I said, just filling the gap, filling the hole,
so there's no void for the resin to fall through. So this is like step one of a multi-step process here. This is the easiest way to do it, though. After much trial and error, I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is the easiest way to do it. Now, on some of the other material later on, like if you check my stream when I'm working on the base, that part I'm actually doing I got to do a sculpt, so I got to do a putty sculpt there to replace some of the rocks and stuff that I had to break to get the base to assemble. So but it is important to get as much of this excess plastic wood out, because it's really easy to sand, but getting it out at this stage while it's wet is easier than trying to get in there with sandpaper. But I'm glad that you're here. Being new to this, like that's kind of why I put this channel together, is because you know, I was pretty new to it a couple years ago, and it was really hard for me to find the information. A lot of stuff I just had to figure out on my own, and so I wanted to have a channel where I could teach people the beginning, all the production parts of statue making, because some people are under the impression like you just press print and you get a perfectly paintable, you know, piece at the end, and that's just not the case. I usually spend the first 2 or 3 sessions doing this prep work. Sometimes more, depending upon how much. Pretty sealed right there. I don't think I need to worry about it. You know, depending on how big it is and how much effort it's going to take. Oh, needs more paper towel. Like this one, to be honest, it's 5:30. I'll probably keep trucking with it for a little while, but this is going to be at least another day of pre-production stuff. I still got the base to fix. I'm nowhere close to done with this. So yeah, it's gonna be a minute. But you got to enjoy the process, right? Kind of how I'm looking at it. I'm not here to be a statue factory. I'm just here to enjoy my life, the passing of time, and how I choose to expend my life credits. And this is my chosen pastime. Each statue takes probably 70 to 80 hours all in. I don't think this scene really needs it because it's got some glue and stuff down in there. I can see it. There's a little bit of a lifted edge right there, though. This is where that weird straggly piece is attached. So yeah, it's going to be a big gap to fill. There we go.
Ouch. I don't feel that too much because that's where the other pieces go. Oh, come on. Almost. This is a little bit dry now. Come on, I'm so close to being done. Don't need that much more. Oh, this is inside behind his back. I don't really even need to worry about this. Well, just to be safe, let's go ahead and do it. Yeah, that's all I need to do. All, like I said, all in the back and underneath, or behind him, I should say. This part I'm not even really going to worry about too much. believe we are set for some resin filling. That might be too dry. All right. Set that aside. We're done with all this. Gonna do a little bit of a resin buildup here. All right, this stuff, the plastic wood is still coming off pretty easily, so I'm gonna let this dry for a little while. I'm gonna go grab something to eat, and then I will continue this at a slightly later time. Let's get this plastic wood out of here. Yeah, it's still moving when it's a wet paper towel. So yeah, I think I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'll come back and do the resin and stuff, and continue on later on. I might stream it, I might just record it, I don't know, we'll see. But thanks for hanging out, and I will catch you on the next session. Take it easy.